Check the description for the following discount codes. Asked in the comments many times over the last couple of weeks, Carl, are you going to be reviewing the new GT Omega bucket seats, the Inertia and the Chase? And the answer, of course, is yes. Here they are with me today. Now, bucket seats, why do we want them versus a seat that has an adjustable rake? The answer is fairly obvious to anyone that's ever used a bucket seat. Bucket seats are much more rigid. They don't have the play that we have in the upright section of a seat that is adjustable. When there is a mechanism to allow adjustable rake, there has to be play, there has to be clearance or lash, to use a technical term when it comes to cogs meshing together. With a bucket seat, it is a fixed shape, it cannot be adjusted, therefore it is much more rigid, firm and often snug, and sized appropriately to the driver, which is something we'll get onto a little while later. I have a tape measure in my hand for good reason. Now in the real world, you would choose a bucket seat sized to you. In sim racing, we can't just go into a shop and try out a bucket seat and find one that suits us. And often manufacturers like GT Omega don't offer different sizes of bucket seat. Like, this is the size it is, this is the size it is, and they're pretty much the same, as the tape measure will probably show. Haven't actually measured yet, but obviously I've driven with both of these. In fact, there might be footage playing now of me using both of these seats. And talking about rigidity and that lack of play in the upright section, you'll see me doing a flex test in both of these clips, which is where I'm pressing the brake pedal as hard as my left leg allows. Now, what I noticed whilst doing it is that whilst there wasn't any obvious flex in the seat that I could see from the seated position, there did appear to be a little bit of movement in what I think is the seat sliders or the runners, because these seats come with runners pre-installed, at least the two that I got sent out did, and looking at the pictures on the website, they do also. So you can at least slide them forwards and backwards. Again, real world scenario, if this was going in your race car, you would put it forward and backward to where you want it and you would bolt it down there, again removing any play from the slider mechanism. That is of course an option. You don't have to use the included sliders. You could just bolt these directly down to your rig if you're the only person that uses your rig. Now this is of course the negative of a bucket seat. If there's more than one of you that drive and you need to slide it forward or backwards or adjust the rake of the back of it, the upright, you can't do that with a bucket seat. You can obviously with the sliders go forwards and backwards, but you can't adjust the rake. And if you remove the sliders, you can't do that either, but you'd only be doing that if it was just for you. So something to bear in mind. For me, I have lots of different friends and family all come and race around here in my rig with me. So I've actually got adjustable pedals and adjustable wheelbase. Sorry, no, I haven't. Adjustable pedals, adjustable seat, and of course I have to have one where the rake can be inclined or declined as well. My wheelbase doesn't need to move because my pedals and my seat do. So yeah, for me, I can't opt to have a bucket seat on my main rig. So which is a shame, because I particularly like the look of the red seat here, the Inertia one. I even quite like it in the red. Yes, it's very max power, it's very in your face. In fact, there's probably going to be some clips up now of me doing some close-up walk-arounds of these two seats as I described them as well. Yeah, it's very max power, it's very Need for Speed Underground, it's very in your face, but I kind of like that. It adds an element of fun to it, if you know what I mean. But I love the shape of the Inertia seat. Obviously, you've got these sort of winged bits that go either side of your face. In the real world, they would add protection should you have an accident, presumably. A little bit of cushioning side to side, not something we need in sim racing, even with the most violent of motion systems doing a rally stage. We still don't need to wear helmets. But they do look cool, very, very cool. And as I say, the colour is actually a favourite of mine. Talking of colours, these two seats are both available in red, white or black. Current pricing, Chase seat £189.95 British pounds, and the Inertia bucket seat £239.95. So an extra 50 notes for the Inertia seat. I mean, there is a lot more material and substance to that than what there is the Chase seat. My discount does stack on top of the existing offers. This should be global, and the discounted link is in the description, or you can enter code KG5 for your discount off of these seats. Now, quality-wise, I have absolutely no complaints. Obviously, there's no assembly to do with these. I literally just unpacked them, bolted them down to the rig, spent a couple of hours in the first seat, which was the Chase seat, took that one off, spent a couple of hours in the Inertia seat. Again, just bolted the runners straight down to the rig. They're very easy to bolt down. The RS12 seat, which is here behind me on my main rig now, is very difficult to get to the bolt hole locations on the seat runners. The base of the seat must just be longer. I mean, with these, I think it's because these kind of curve up, whereas these RS12s do not. They have a more traditional base. So the bolt holes are really easy to get to. Like this one, the slider's all the way forward. Look, the bolt hole is here. I can get my whole hand, you might not be able to see this and you should watch it on a big screen, but I can get my whole hand in between where the bolt hole and the actual seat is. So, and the same when you slide it back, it's poking right out the back. So super easy to install and remove should you need to, which was handy when I was doing the review, you know, testing of both these seats. So the construction-wise, the bucket seat itself is rock solid. I didn't notice any flex in it, as I say, at all. Maybe if you look at the footage, we might see some. Obviously, I've not edited this yet, so I don't know. But what I did notice was the runners having a little bit of play. Again, they need to allow them to operate. But the seats themselves appear to be rock solid. No issues there whatsoever. The material is kind of like does it feel similar to the RS12? No, it doesn't. So the RS12, this is kind of like a fake Alcantara around the outside edge, and then the inside is more of like it's got like a grain to it. These are soft. I'm gonna say they're like velour upholstery in a car is probably the best way to describe these. They are both the same when it comes to the feeling of softness. These front cushions are removable, they're just velcroed in, should you find that the position you want to be in would require them to come out. There's also a hole here to put a seat belt harness to come up and out of, because if, like me on my main rig, it is a harness that has both shoulders, sides, and one that comes up the middle, there is a hole there for that. The same applies to this one. There's also a hole there in that one. This front cushion is actually quite a bit fatter on the Chase than it is on the Inertia, as you can see here. No idea why that is, it's just how it is. Both seats I found comfortable in this sort of leg area without any issues at all. The only issues I had for comfort, like the cushioning I would say is fairly firm because they're not massively padded. If it was too soft, a fatter cushion, it would compress and you'd go through it. But yeah, I had no issues with comfort from a cushioning or material point of view, or a seating position point of view. What I did have issues with is the width. Now, I'm a fairly broad guy, and I have this with any car that has a bucket seat in that isn't tailored to me. It rounds my shoulders more so than I would like. You know, when we have our arms out on the steering wheel, our shoulders do pull in a little bit anyway. But for me, it rounds my shoulders and they push on my lats, the upper part of your back here, kind of just below where your armpits are. So for me, I couldn't use these as like my main seat because it would get uncomfortable after a while. And that's why I'm going to measure the sort of measurements widthways for you, because if you are a broad chap, you might want, and you know, comparable to myself, perhaps. I know it's hard to tell on camera, but you have some idea of my size. Kind of have a look. I can't measure myself, unfortunately, and I don't have an assistant here to help. But it might just be something to bear in mind. Perhaps measure the seat you're currently using widthways, and that will give you some idea as to whether you're likely to fit in one of these. So that's what I'm going to do now. I may as well measure, because some of you guys have much bigger legs than me, I imagine. I don't have the biggest legs in the world, so let's measure the width at the front here at cushion level. And this is 38 centimetres. I'm not going to do it in inches. I'll just, those of you who have a tape measure can look at the centimetre incrementations, I'm sure. And at the back, where our bum would go, is 34 centimetres. It actually tapers backwards a little bit. I may as well give us the length whilst I'm here. 49.5 centimetres. And then the bit that gets me is in here. Again, I'm doing this all at cushion level. This is bang on 30 centimetres. So again, that tapers in a little bit. That's only like a foot. That really isn't very wide, is it? And then it opens out again. So the pinch point is the important part, I think. You might just want to know out of curiosity the upright, so I'll give you that as well. And that is 87 centimetres. And now let's do the same on this one. Again, now this cushion's a bit fatter here, so this measurement should be a little wider. And that is 37. What was this one? 39. Okay, so this seat must be a touch narrower. So yeah, 37 centimetres there. And then at the narrowest point at the back on the base, 33. And then again, that pinch point on the upright there is actually 32. So interestingly, a touch narrower down here and a touch wider up there. Again, front to back, 49.5, and the height is 83, so a touch shorter there. So there's your dimensions. Something just to bear in mind. Obviously, I haven't put them up on the screen. I don't think I will. I might do if I can be bothered, but if not, just pause the video or make a note of them on your phone or something. We've all got the ability to do that. Yeah, there's your dimensions. So that's the only complaint I have from a comfort point of view, is literally just it's a bit too tight around my upper back and shoulders. I mean, the shoulder area actually is probably here. So let me give you that. It's hard because it tapers. I'm not sure. Let's do it in the middle then, of sort of forward to backwards, because that's kind of like an average, because our bodies do curve forward slightly. So that is 37, and on this one we're looking at also about 37. Yeah, hopefully that's enough measurements for you to be able to figure out whether you're going to fit in. So again, I say compare it to what perhaps you've already got, or any chair that you might have, even a chair in your real car. If it's ever so slightly bucketed, you know, got bolsters, you'll have some reference point that you can use with a tape measure to make sure you're going to fit. Again, there's other harness points both at the sides of the seats and of course upright here. So if I was to fit this to here, I've got 5 points there for my belt, my harnesses to come through. For those people, you know, with active belt tensioners like the PT actuator tension R1 that I have on here, or those of you who like rally and have a very aggressive motion rig, it actually feels kind of good to be strapped down sometimes. Now, the only other thing you'll see probably now in this video is a very brief review of their new keyboard tray. So I'll just pass myself over to Carlos from the past and he'll tell you about that. Yeah, along with the bucket seats, they sent me their new keyboard tray. The last keyboard tray was basically like a articulating TV wall bracket and a really flimsy tray, and it really wasn't very good at all. This is the total opposite. This is rock solid and is now on aluminium profile underneath here. The plate itself probably getting over 3mm thick, and the bracket that it articulates on is much the same. So it's rock solid. It comes in to sort of 90 degrees like this, and it can go as far away, you know, all the way the other way if you wanted it to. I don't know why you'd do that, but you could. It is designed to be mounted to aluminium profile cockpit, so it comes with T-nuts and bolts, so you can slide it up and down, you know, to what your desired height. And talking about the T-nuts, they've really upped. I apologise for this being in my face. It just happens to be the seat I'm sitting in. The T-nut game has really been upped. These are absolutely massive compared to the previous ones that GT Omega sent out. I hope you can see that from where I'm. In fact, get out the bloody seat, Carl, and show the people what they want to see. Yeah, this is a huge, great, chunky beast. And it weighs an absolute ton, so they've really upped their game there. They've also had custom end caps designed with the GT Omega logo inside, but what they've done is they've done it in such a way that you can still slide your T-nuts through them, should you, albeit snug, should you need to make, you know, slide something in or out, because this top end cap here, for me to fit this, I had to remove this, and eventually when you do this enough times, what you often find is that these bits snap off. Now they haven't done, but it would have been a lot easier if I had one of these installed on the top, because then the channel is still open and I could have just slid the T-nuts in like that. And also, they just look nicer. I mean, I don't know if you can see the end of this one. It's not, well, it's kind of in shot there. If you're watching this on a big TV screen, you might be able to make it out, but it just looks nice. You know, a little bit more custom rather than off the shelf. So yeah, this keyboard tray definitely gets a thumbs up, whereas the last one, if you saw the review, definitely did not. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully that gives you everything you need to know to be able to make a choice as to whether you'd like to buy either of these seats, and whether they're going to fit you, I think, is the most important thing. I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed with the build quality, the comfort from a cushioning point of view, or the material used, or in fact the way they look. I particularly like the inertia seat. I almost wish it did fit me a little better, or they did a wider option. And as you saw, the keyboard tray and the way that bolts on to aluminium profile rings is now vastly improved over what the previous one was. So no complaints there. And those T-nuts were just, they're the biggest T-nuts, as in most amount of material used, that I have seen. They fill the entire channel on a piece of aluminium profile. So way overkill in most instances, but you know, good to see, I suppose. Decent quality, it's not going to fail. Anyway, as always, thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.